Okay. So let me see. Hi, everybody. I just want to make sure that you guys can hear me. So let me take a look. If you guys can hear me, if you could just type in the chat box if you can hear and see me so that we can make sure that this is up and running. I'm still new to this whole Zoom platform, so I would love to just make sure that everyone is able to see me and hear me. So if you could type yes so that I know that we're good to go, then we could get rolling here. All right, I see somebody's hands up. Okay. Great. All right. So hopefully, let me just see here if I can, we're going to troubleshoot this a little bit. Can you guys all hear me?
I can.
All right. Can you hear and see me? If you could type in the chat box where it says yeah, or just type in yes. All right. All right. So I think we're rolling here. If we're not, well, we'll see. I'm just going to go ahead and start. We've got some people here, so I'm sure other people will join us as we go along. But all right, great. So good afternoon, you guys. Thanks for being here. My name is Erica Fay, for those of you who don't know me. And I am the founder of Maximum Achievement Coaching, and I'm also a licensed marriage and family therapist and a certified life mastery consultant. And I am just thrilled to be able to be with you guys today to talk about opening your gifts. So when I talk about opening your gifts, I believe that there is a unique set of gifts, skills, talents, and abilities that each of us have been really gifted with to be brought forth into the world. And so I have a proven success system that actually when you apply it, you can really start to live a life that is in alignment with your gifts, skills, and talents, and really helps you to kind of get a clearer path to living a life that feels meaningful to you. So thanks again for being here. I know that you all took time out of your busy schedules and the holidays and everything going on. You know, there's tons of different things. So I'll start with a story. There was a mother mouse who was walking through a house with her 3 children. And she turned the corner and all of a sudden she saw a cat. And so in an effort to protect her kids, she rose up on her hind legs and she said in as loud of a voice as she could muster, "Ruff, ruff." And the cat got scared and ran off. And then she looked at her children and she said, "Now children, never underestimate the power of learning more than one language." So that's a fun story, but the cat actually represents something standing in the way of where the mouse wanted to be. In this case, it was safety with her children, right? So that kind of is a great metaphor or analogy for kind of where we are. Oftentimes there's something standing in our way from where we are now and what we would want. And if you're alive, you have challenges. That's kind of one of the signatures of being human, right? But knowing a language of success can actually help you to overcome challenges and really move you down the path to living a life that you absolutely love and living a life that feels successful to you. So there's a language or a pattern, or we can also call it like a way of doing things. And once you understand what this pattern is, you can apply it to any area of your life that you would like to improve. So I'm guessing most of you on the call have some area of your life that you'd like to improve right now. And that's part of it, right? So if you have something that you are wanting to improve in your life, just go ahead and raise your hand. some area of your life that you'd like to improve. Okay, great. So I have another question kind of that leads me, it just sparked another idea in my mind. So if you think about what it would mean to you to have this area of your life resolved or the challenge solved, like what would it mean to you? And just kind of start to think about that. And actually, I have another question for you. So if you think about whether or not, like over the course of your life, you ever started out with a goal or a dream, and when you first had that goal or a dream, you weren't sure how you were going to make it happen, but you wound up making it happen in the long run. And I think every single one of us has an instance of this, be it small, little, it doesn't really matter what you call it, but it actually proves a point, and that is that we're far more capable than what we know. And one of the things that I've really learned is that our goals and dreams are oftentimes born out of the challenges that we face. And there are two growth signals in the universe that speak to us that really help us to grow. And so I'm just trying to make sure that everyone's getting in okay here. Sorry for the distraction here. Okay, looks like we're good. So yeah, the two growth signals. The universe speaks to us through two growth signals, our longings and our discontents. So it's the longing for something that we haven't yet created and the discontent with current circumstances that actually sparks us to grow. So if you have an area of your life that you're wanting to improve, or you're experiencing some longing or discontent right now, that's actually a good sign, because it means that you have the opportunity to grow and use your gifts actually to help you resolve whatever challenge it is that you're facing. So there's a great quote by Dr. Michael Beckwith, who says that oftentimes we're pushed by pain until we're pulled by a vision. So it's that the two energies, the pain of our problem and the burning desire to create something that we haven't yet created, that actually sparks us to grow. So I'll tell you a just brief story about how pain pushed me to make a change. And some of you may have heard this before if you've been in any of my workshops or anything like that. But so up until about 8 years ago, I was working in mental health settings that were kind of challenging. I was working with a lot of clients that had just very limited resources, and the resources that were available to us working with them were very limited as well. And so I was noticing that it was starting to take a real toll on my physical, emotional, and mental health. And it was one of those things that just kind of kept eating at me. So a couple of weeks before I decided to make a change, I was noticing that I was just feeling super down. And I felt like conflicted because I wasn't really sure what it was all about. So anyway, after a particularly challenging day, I made a decision that something needed to change. And I'm not going to get into all the details of how this all happened, but I wound up remembering that I wanted to open my own private practice, and I decided that I was going to do it. And don't get me wrong, when I made that decision, I was petrified. I had all of the paradigms. You don't know how you're going to, how is that going to work out? You don't know what you're doing. You've never owned a business before. You don't have any business training. What if this doesn't work out for you? Who's going to pay your bills? All this stuff. So, but I remembered that great opportunities often occur on the other side of what's comfortable. So I made the decision right there and then that I needed to take a step and create my dream, which was opening a business for myself. And now, successfully self-employed for over 8 years. I have 2 businesses now, and I absolutely love what I do. I get to work with awesome people. Every single one of my clients is just such a gift to me, and I just really appreciate them. And my health is better. I'm feeling energetic, and so I really feel like I'm on the right path. Now, I'm telling you this to say I don't think that anyone is different than me. I think everyone has the opportunity and the resources inside of them to create a life that they would love living. So there's 10 success principles that I have that I usually teach, and I'm going to give you 3 of those 10 since we have an abbreviated amount of time today. And for those of you who have worked with me in the past, I have a special opportunity for you at the end. And then for those of you who are new, I also have a special gift for you that I'll talk to you guys about at the end. So let's start off by expanding our awareness in 4 arenas of life, okay? So if you've worked with me, you've heard these before. It's health, time and money freedom, vocation, and relationships. So we all have results in all of these domains of our lives, and our results are actually a perfect reflection of our awareness in these areas. So let's take a look at a pattern of how you can create results. And what I call this is the results formula. Some people make this work for them. Some people will try to argue against it, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to kind of go over it with you, and you can kind of see where you land with it. So it starts here. Our thoughts create our feelings. And you know this to be true because if I asked you to think about all of the stuff that you had to do and how there wasn't enough time to do it, you would start to feel stressed and overwhelmed, right? Conversely, if I asked you to think about the best vacation you ever went on and really start to tell me about that, you would start to feel joy. So our thoughts actually impact our physiology. And then our thoughts, our feelings actually color our actions. And you know this to be true too. So we take very different action on a day that we wake up feeling confident and well-rested than we do on a day that we feel maybe sad or lonely or whatever it is. And then ultimately our actions are what creates our results, right? So let me just go over that because I flew through it. Our thoughts are expressed into our feelings. Our feelings are then expressed into our actions. Our actions are ultimately what generates our results. And most people will argue this. They'll say, oh, well, I can't because, and you'll hear a lot of becauses. I can't, start my business because I don't have the resources, or I can't, go after that program that I've always wanted to enroll in because I don't have the money, or I can't find the love of my life because I'm not, pretty enough, or, whatever the case, old enough, too old, or whatever the case may be. These are all becauses. When the reality is, you guys, the results in our lives they all start here. It's our thoughts. This is the true cause of our results. It's the law of cause and effect, actually, but for whatever reason, we haven't been trained to think like this. So if you want to create new results in your lives, let's look at our thoughts. And we'll kind of just pay attention to what we focus our thoughts on. And this brings me to principle number 1. So getting crystal clear on a vision or something that you would love for your life is success principle number 1. The Dalai Lama has a great quote where he says, in order to carry out positive action, we must develop first a positive vision. So let me ask you a question. And, some of you guys have been with me before and have answered this question, but what would you love for your life? And I would just invite you to kind of sit with that for a second. And if you don't have a pen and paper, it would be a great opportunity for you to run and get one real quick so you have something to write with, because I'm going to have you do a journaling exercise in just a couple seconds. But success principle number 1, without a clear vision, it really is difficult to create something new. So crystal clear vision, clarity is power. Without a clear blueprint, you can't create something new. So we want to start by getting really crystal clear on what we want to see in our lives and be really focused on it. And this is when opportunities and resources and circumstances actually begin to show up in our lives that we may have otherwise missed if our focus was on something else. So let's unlock our imaginations here for a moment, and let's just allow yourself to dream. What would you love for your life? And again, I ask what would you love, not what do you think is possible or what do you think you can create, because really that question, what would you love, unlocks all kinds of different answers than the former questions. So let's hold off on how this is all going to work out. And let's just take this opportunity to really dream. What would you love for your life? So you can pick one, since we have such a short time together, pick one of the 4 quadrants that I mentioned, either health, time and money freedom, relationships, or vocation. And just imagine that everything is worked out in that arena of your life. It could be the challenge that you're facing. Imagine if that all worked out. So I would invite you guys to just close your eyes for just a couple seconds here and just imagine that you are living a life of your dreams. Everything's worked out for you. And just close your eyes and imagine this. Life is awesome. What are you doing? Who are you with? How does this feel? And what great things are occurring? So really begin to feel this. And I'm going to have you open your eyes. And if you have something to write with, or if you have like a digital device that obviously that you can still like watch this webinar or hear me, you can write it, you can use that to write stuff down. But I'm going to give you 2 minutes to really write down what you would love for your life. So 2 minutes to create that life that you've imagined when your eyes were closed. So I'll keep the time and you guys can begin, and I'll come back and let you know where we are. Okay. So we've got about a minute left. What would you love? You've got about 40 seconds. All right, about 10. All right, stop. Pens down, please. Okay, so this is the beginning, getting crystal clear on what you want to create for your life, or a vision for yourself to really help you to access some of these gifts. So let's talk about principle number 2. I can't believe the time is flying so quickly. So Bob Proctor, who's a renowned life coach and author, has a great quote, and I'm just going to read this. It says, "There's a single mental move you can make, which in a millisecond will solve enormous problems for you. It has the potential to improve almost any personal or business situation you will ever encounter, and it could literally propel you down the path to incredible success. We have a name for this magic mental activity. It's called decision." So that brings us to principle number 2, which is you must make a firm decision for your vision in order to create the possibility for it to occur in your reality. So you want to make a firm decision for it without knowing all of the steps and without knowing how it's all going to come together, without having all of the positive conditions to support you along the way. So once you make a decision for this, things will rush to your aid to support the fulfillment of your decision. So, I've heard this before, like, oh, I want optimum health, or I want to be a certain weight, or, I'm just using this as an example, but I've got all these holiday parties coming up, so I'm going to start in the new year. With that, that's not a firm decision. The only time you have anything to say about what you have control over is the moment you're in. So make a decision now for what you want to create. And that really helps you to send a clear message that this is something that you're doing. You're not putting it off till tomorrow. So there's a really quick story that I'm going to tell you that is actually probably different in terms of circumstances than yours, but the steps that this client took are exactly the same, no matter how big or small your dream or vision is. And it's a client named Judy. And Judy had very minimal education. She had 2 jobs. She was working at a fast food restaurant, and she also worked as a seamstress in the evenings. And she had a 1-bedroom apartment, and she had 2 kids. So she was a single mom. And her dream was to own her own home. And she came across a program like this, and she decided if she was going to change her life, she really needed support. So she took a huge leap, and she made the decision to enroll in coaching. And that was tough for her because she had very limited financial resources, as you could imagine. But she knew that she really needed support, so she made that decision. And she told her coach her dream was to own her own home. And she also told her, but she didn't think that was possible because she only had $500 a month to spend on housing. So her coach asked her to describe the kind of house that she would love to live in. And this was difficult for Judy because she kept going back to the conditions of thinking she wasn't able to afford the home. So eventually she was able to describe it. And the coach then said, okay, great, you have a clear vision. Now go look for the home. And Judy, had a hard time with this. And she's like, well, I don't think I'm ever going to find one for $500 a month. And her coach said, stay in the idea that this might be possible for you, and go ahead and look for it. So Judy actually did. And she found a home. It needed some work, but she could absolutely imagine herself and her kids living there. So she called her coach and she said, I found it, but now I feel worse. It's $900 a month and there's no way I can afford that. So now if Judy were on her own, this would have been the end of it, right? She would have just stopped. There was nothing she can do. In her mind, it was impossible. But her coach knew the language and the mindset and the questions to ask. So she said to her, if you didn't think it was impossible and you really thought there was a chance, what would you do? So at first, Judy struggled with this and she couldn't accept it. But after a week or so, she started entertaining that question for herself. And she came up with an idea. She said, well, I wonder if I wrote the landlord a letter and it's described my situation and described my ideas for how I would improve the home if he would supply the resources and I did the work for free, if he would let me live there for $500 a month. So she wrote him a letter and she sent it off. And about 3 weeks later, she got a call from the landlord. And he said, I don't know what it is, but something about your story will not leave me alone. And if you agree to sign a quarterly work contract for all of the work to be completed, I'll provide the resources and let you live there for $500 a month. So Judy was thrilled and she called her coach and she said, we're moving in 30 days and I cannot believe this is happening. So I love that story. And it's such a great story, but it doesn't end there too. Like over the year, she did complete the 40 things that she had on the list for improvements for the home. And she also gained a whole new way of thinking. So she actually got an idea about a home-based business that she could create. And she wound up opening a business from her home and was able to spend way more time with her kids and make more income than she had. And within 3 years, she actually wound up buying the home from the landlord. So I just love that story. And it's your story and it's my story. Our situations may not be exactly the same, but the principles that Judy applied helped her to create her dream, and it gave her life a whole new meaning. So what about your vision? It starts with making a decision and saying, today's the day. I'm saying no to doubts and reasons why I can't, and yes to possibilities and opportunities. So today, I would invite you to start to believe in the power breathing you. So this brings up point number 3. Anytime we make a huge change or do something outside of the norm, we brush up against fear and doubt, right? So principle number 3 is befriending your fear and doubt and doing what you want despite your fear. Successful people do this all the time. They suspend knowing the how and they take action without knowing all of the answers. So when we decide for a vision, there's a part of us that says, yes, that sounds awesome. And then there's another part that says, yeah, right. How are you going to make that happen? I experienced it when I started my private practice, and I experienced it any single time I'm pushing myself outside of my comfort zone. So I know that I'm not alone. What is this voice? This is the voice of fear and doubt. It doesn't show up and say, hey, I'm here to ruin your dreams. It's the part of you that argues for the status quo. And it often disguises itself as practicality. So it won't, show up and say, hey, don't do that because I just want to keep you the same. But it will say, oh, this isn't a good time, or maybe later, or that's impossible, or what if you fail? So I love this. Who hasn't had a failure in life? I know I've had tons of them. So what happens to us? So like when we were all babies, we all had failures. We all started out as non-walkers, and we saw people walking around on their hind legs, and we decided we wanted that level of freedom for ourselves. So we fixed our eyes on our goal, our toy or cookie or whatever it was, and we rose up and we took a step. And what happened? We fell down. But we rose up and we kept going. And this process probably went on for a number of attempts, but at no point did anyone on this webinar think to themselves, that's it, I'm just not meant to be a walker. But something happens to us as an adult. When we fall down, we say, I'm not meant to. And that's actually not how it works. It's the falling down and the rising up that is actually the way to achieve great dreams. So we really have to befriend our fear and doubt and move forward and give ourselves permission to fail enough to succeed. This is what successful people do. Oprah was rejected by television executives and told she wasn't fit for TV. And look at her now. Henry Ford failed at 3 businesses before starting the Ford Motor Company when he was 52. So fear and failure are prerequisites for greatness. And so let me just invite you to practice this. When you hear the voice arguing for you to stay small or asking what if you fail, please respond to that voice by saying, yes, if I fail, I'll figure out how to pick myself up and I'll keep going. So we're going to infuse this with a little action. If you look at what you wrote on your, or what you have as your vision, this is how you give power to the part of you that wants to move forward over the part of you that plays small. You want to look at that vision and ask yourself this question: what's one action step that I can take in the direction of my dream? And then write down a by when date. By when is so important. There absolutely is one action step that each of you can take to move you in the direction of your dream. It's just like Judy. You do what you can with what you have from where you are. And this goes back to our choices and decisions that we make today are ultimately who we turn out to become tomorrow. So I'm going to kind of summarize here because we're getting close to time. So I gave you 3 of the 10 success principles. And let me just see if you felt like these were meaningful to you. If you can raise your hand if you felt like they were meaningful. Great, great, awesome. Okay, so as promised, I have a gift and then I'll close with a powerful thought. But first, let's recap what we covered. So there's a language or a pattern to success. And when we use this pattern, our results automatically improve, right? And then we learned principle number 1, which is the power of having a clear vision. And the more clarity you have, the more power you have. Principle number 2, the power of making a firm decision. You must decide for your dream and your vision without knowing how it's all going to work out. And principle number 3, befriending your fear and doubt and knowing that fear and failure are prerequisites for greatness. And so we want to really shift our paradigms to achieve our vision and not let fear stop us. So here's the gift. For those of you who are ready to take action, I carve some time out each week for strategy sessions. And this is a call where we get really clear on where you are, what you would want to create in your life, and the next most important step for you to get there. And so I'm sure that all of you have great skills and tips and resources at your fingertips that you can always access on your own. But remember, change begins with your thoughts. And this is my area of expertise. So I know that this one-on-one, I know that you guys can do it. And with the support of someone helping you, you can skyrocket your results. So this one-on-one session is actually valued at $250. And for those of you that are ready to take action and are serious about achieving your dream, here's our next step. So we're going to hop on the phone for 45 minutes and get crystal clear on your dream and how you can get there. And here's where the gift comes in. I'm going to give you this session completely free at no charge. So message me at Erica@Maximum Achievement Coaching if you'd like to capitalize on this. And for those of you who have been my clients, who currently are my clients, I have a special gift for you too. So message me. I'm not going to go in because it depends on the different tiers of the programs that I have, but that you were in and that you are in. But go ahead and message me, and I'm happy to give you the gift too for taking the time and being on this call. So in closing, Judy once sat where you sit. She was dreaming and she was thinking it was impossible. And she never in 100 years could have imagined that she could have turned her dream into the landscape of her reality. And now she is living her dream and her life is better than ever before. So I just want to encourage you guys and say, remember, as we close out this webinar and you go out into your life, know that what is inside you is far greater than any circumstance, situation, or condition that you're facing, and that you have incredible power within you. Today is your moment, your time. Today is your day to take bold action. And know that I 100% believe with every fiber of my being that you can do it. And I'm cheering you on. Because as the wise philosopher Goethe says, at the moment of commitment, the universe conspires to assist you. So if you would like support and want me to help you achieve your goals and your vision, message me. And I just want to send a big, not congratulations, but I just want to celebrate you guys for taking the time out today to do something for you and for your life by being with me today, this afternoon. So to your success and all the best, wishing you a very happy holidays, and I will talk with you soon. Thanks. Bye-bye.